A dramatic end to a police pursuit through Toronto. A man arrested in the middle of a downtown street.
Tonight, a stolen U-Haul truck, a reported gunpoint abduction, and the connection to the stabbing of an off-duty officer earlier this month. Good evening. It was a stunning series of events that played out in broad daylight today.
A man's in custody, arrested in a takedown. One officer says could have otherwise had a catastrophic ending. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live from Church and Carlton with the details. Beth.
Nathan, this was a dramatic takedown after a lengthy pursuit in the city, which started in Scarborough, then went to Midtown, then downtown, and ended here on Carlton Street near Church Street. This is a bird's eye view of the crash between officers, a tow truck, and what Toronto police say is a stolen U-Haul. Look closer, and there's a man, hands behind his back, being arrested moments into the takedown.
One's on this lane following him, and one's on the right lane following him. And he comes up to this tow truck. He tries to cut across to go over to the right lane, and he plows right into him to stop him. He rams right into him.
Joe Markunis was out grocery shopping when he says he saw the U-Haul going the wrong way before police intervened. Police allege the suspect, who stabbed an off-duty police officer at a Scarborough Best Buy earlier this month, is the person arrested.
It's the cops, and they're not going to let this guy go. You know, they're pretty serious here. So, yeah, so they run out of the vehicles and they charge, and they pick him up like a rag doll, throw him on the ground, handcuff him.
Police say the incident started around 11:30 this morning near Danforth and Warden. They say officers tried to stop the U-Haul, but there was an altercation and some officers received minor injuries. Police say they then learned someone had been abducted.
The individual who was abducted did advise us that they were abducted at gunpoint, so it was believed that this person was armed.
The York Regional Police helicopter was then brought in and followed the suspect for about 2 hours. There was a crash at Spadina and Adelaide involving the U-Haul before police decided to intervene here on Carlton.
And so this was, in fact, the best location, as you can see, the result could have been catastrophic, especially with a person who's believed to be armed with a firearm.
Officers say a 49-year-old man was arrested.
I guess they had a pretty serious reason, because they plowed him right into that tow truck. A
dramatic arrest, police say, ended at the safest moment. Police believe there were some crashes during the pursuit. Anyone who is involved is asked to call traffic services. Anyone that has any information about this incident as a whole is also asked to call police. Reporting live on Carlton near Church, I'm Beth McDonnell. Back to Michelle and Nathan.
All right, thank you, Beth. We turn to a new tactic by car thieves, deciding the best way to steal a car is to break into a house to get the keys.
Terrifying for residents who are at home at the time, but tonight we're learning how some are looking for ways to fight back. CTV's John Woodward joins us live with the details. John.
Michelle, there have been several scary incidents here in Rosedale in the last month. It's kind of like a carjacking, but the thieves come to your house. So a group of neighbors have banded together to hire their own private security patrols. A kick brings the door down in this Rosedale home at 4:30 in the morning, and two masked men are suddenly face to face with the man who lives there, Richard, who screams at them to get out. But the men aren't there for him or anything in the home. They're there for his car keys.
Scary, man. Like super scared.
Video from the house of another woman in the neighborhood who didn't want to be identified to show a group of men in hoodies. They entered the house. She says she locked herself and her 5-year-old daughter in the closet. They got the keys but couldn't take her Mercedes because it had a steering wheel lock. Police are investigating. The home invasion's the latest wrinkle in the surging car thefts that have people in Toronto on edge. In Toronto, figures show auto theft has more than doubled in the last 5 years to 11,767 just this year, more than 33 a day. Some ending up disguised and sold here, others ending up overseas. That has a nearby neighborhood thinking of a different solution. 57 homes now banding together to hire their own cars to patrol.
We have a dedicated marked patrol car and a few dedicated uniformed tactical guard security personnel that patrol the community nightly from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Ranko Vukovic of Blackbird Security says the patrols cause thieves who are casing these homes to look elsewhere.
The community went from nightly occurrences to 0 occurrences for the last 2 months.
My constituents are justifiably very frightened and distressed.
Toronto City Councillor Diane Sachs says she wants the police and other law enforcement to tackle the complex problem.
I think it's extremely harmful to the city for public services and public spaces to be degraded so that people who can withdraw into private services, that can be a real doom loop.
Ontario police have created a task force for auto theft. Those in Rosedale considering hiring private security too.
I like to sleep at night, and I want my family to be safe, and I want our neighborhood to be safe.
To avoid frightening experiences like this. In that group of 57 say by splitting the cost, they can get it down to $180 per household per month. But others we talked to say that while this tactic may push the criminals around, they worry it won't do much for the root causes. Reporting live from Rosedale, I'm John Woodward. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Taking a look at the city today, it's hard to believe winter officially arrives tomorrow.
And with it, we know colder weather is coming and concerns that people are sheltered from the conditions. Today, we got an update from the city. CTV's Allison Hurst joins us live with all the details. Allison.
A new 24-hour respite site is going to be opening in the exhibition grounds. It's opening tomorrow, and it's going to ramp up over several days until Boxing Day, when it'll reach capacity. And this is just one of the items the city announced in its updated winter services plan. As the temperature dips below freezing, many still sleep outside, turned away from Toronto's shelter system.
Homelessness and the affordable housing crisis is something that has become a human emergency in every town and city.
To address that human emergency, the city is updating its winter services plan, opening a new 24-hour respite site at the Better Living Centre in the exhibition grounds.
The program will ramp up starting tomorrow with 40 spaces each day until it reaches full capacity on December the 26th.
Full capacity will be 240 beds. They've also set up dining and lounging areas, bathrooms, showers, and laundry facilities.
The program will be operational until late March, and at that time we'll need to pass the building back to X Place.
The city is also expanding operating hours at 10 drop-in sites and announced it had opened the 24-hour respite site for youth at Covenant House with 30 spaces. These announcements come as nearly 240 people are turned away from the shelter system daily.
With the federal government missing in action, I think we're really recognizing the peril that people are in this winter. It's really crucial that the federal government pays its bill. There's a $200 million bill due this year. IOUs are not accepted anymore.
According to the city, there are more than 9,300 people in the shelter system each night, and a little more than 4,000 of them are refugee claimants.
The city needs to stop waiting on the feds to step up themselves and to address the homelessness and housing crisis in Toronto.
Advocates say the city's plan doesn't go far enough, and more needs to be done to ensure humane and dignified treatment of the homeless population.
We need year-round emergency beds and services that are low barrier and don't require having to navigate the convoluted and poorly managed central intake system.
The province has offered $200 million a year for 3 years, but it's conditional on federal government contribution. The province has promised $200 million to help with this situation, but that is conditional on the federal government also contributing. On that, the city says that the federal government has joined the conversations on the New Deal, and they're hopeful it will be fruitful. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
Thanks, Allison. Meanwhile, doctors aim to put food insecurity in the spotlight. Just ahead, sounding the alarm about the impact of hunger on overall health as they take a tour of the Daily Bread food bank. But first, let's take a live look outside on this Wednesday evening. Ooh, the rink at Nathan Phillips Square is rocking tonight. We had some sun, we had some cloud, wasn't too cold. The question now is, will it feel wintry for the first day of winter tomorrow? Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. I have an idea.
It'd be cooler. It just won't be traditionally as cool as we're used to, right? We're not going to see any snow as we head into the day tomorrow, but we will see sunshine, so maybe it's a bit of a trade-off. Still dealing with some cloud cover as we head through the early evening, but it remains mild. So if you want to go out for an evening walk, you're going to go skating at Nathan Phillips Square, or just head out and do some last-minute holiday shopping. It is really nice outside to do so. Right around the Golden Horseshoe, still hovering just above the freezing mark further east, so anywhere from Scarborough through to Oshawa, down towards Oakville, we're looking at temperatures pretty mild. As we head through the overnight, though, it gets gets chilly. More on your long-range forecasts coming up.
All right. Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks.
Well, just a handful of days left to Christmas.
And you can feel it, right? There's a little bit of a frenzy that kicks in to get everything done. For others, the countdown is on to just having some time off. And for our Toy Mountain team, well, this is prime time, toy collection time. Andrea Case joins us live tonight from Oshawa, Andrea.
North Oshawa, I'll be very specific because you know me. I went to South Oshawa. I was in the wrong place. But Farah whipped me into shape, and I'm here on time. I'm here, of course, with Aaron, who will travel anywhere for Toy Mountain. And we are at Best Buy in North Oshawa. And how are you today?
I am great. We are excited to be here. The team has been so generous. We've already seen them at the launch. We are here today. We're so excited.
Okay, well, let's bring in Ken from Best Buy here in Oshawa. And Ken has a donation. We're starting off with a donation. Ken.
Absolutely. There's a lot of joy in finding the perfect gift, but in finding the perfect gift this holiday season from Best Buy. So on top of all the toys and all the stores, 38 stores, including our Best Buy distribution center, would love to make a donation of $125 Best Buy gift cards.
Wonderful. Ken, thank you very much. Round of applause for Ken, everybody. Ken will be back later on the show because he's going to keep on giving. Reporting from North Oshawa Best Buy, I'm Andrea. I'll send it back to the studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea. There's also a major appeal for food donations during this time of year. The cost of groceries putting a strain on so many families.
It's not just a financial issue, but a medical one as well. Today, doctors making the connection between hunger and health. CTV's Sean Leithong joins us live from the Daily Bread Food Bank tonight with those details. Sean.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, doctors from the Ontario Medical Association were here today making that connection, saying food security is key to overall general health, and they were stepping up in a big way. As volunteers are working to sort donations at the Daily Bread Food Bank, members of the Ontario Medical Association are taking a big step forward.
We want our patients, we want our communities to be healthy, and that's why it's important to be part of initiatives such as the food bank.
In an effort to help community health, leaders are visiting the food bank, bringing with them a donation of $25,000.
If you don't have access to good nutrition, there's a good chance you're going to have more in the way of chronic illness, go to the emergency department more, things like hypertension, high blood pressure.
And as these doctors tour the Etobicoke headquarters, they get an up-close look at the huge operation that food banks have become.
So to be honest, it's actually saddening that we have to make this kind of a donation. And when we look at the $25,000 donation we've made, it's actually such a drop in the bucket of their annual budget.
The unfortunate reality is that we are serving 270,000 client visits per month at the food bank now. Before the pandemic, it was 65,000. So we've actually quadrupled the number of visits.
Use of food banks has shot up in recent years to the point where 1 in 10 people in Toronto are now using their services.
Some are donated products, so
Talia Brownstein says it's a symptom of the larger cost of living crisis.
we know people are struggling with inflation, rising cost of living, rising cost of housing in Toronto in particular. We're seeing that people can't keep up. Their wages are simply not keeping up, and that's really what's causing this increase.
And while the food bank has been expanding to keep up with demand, this time of year is most important to help set the tone for the year ahead.
So during the holidays, that is a really important fundraising time for us. That's when we know community is looking to support one another, looking to give. And so the donations we receive now actually help tide us over for the whole year to come.
While they hope to see fewer clients accessing their resources, the fear is that this demand will only go up. So we wanted to articulate just how big that demand can be. We're standing inside the warehouse at the Daily Bread Food Bank. This aisle is one of many aisles here that is stocked right now, but we know in just a matter of days, you see all the boxes behind me will be cleared out and they'll be hoping to move more food in. So they do need those donations at this time. You're reporting live. I'm Sean Leithong. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. One person is dead after a crash on the Brampton-Caledon border. It happened at around 7:30 this morning on Mayfield Road near Mississauga Road. Police say a Jeep collided with another SUV, killing one driver. Just yesterday, 2 people were killed in a crash involving a school bus not far away on Hart Lake.
An escaped prisoner with unique facial tattoos who has evaded police twice this year has been found and arrested again. A warrant was first issued for 31-year-old Michael Stamatakos in February. He was arrested a month later after he checked into a Hamilton hospital and a nurse recognized him. Then in October, a Canada-wide warrant was again issued for his arrest. Stamatakos was serving a 2-year sentence for arson, uttering death threats, possession of a controlled substance, dangerous operation of a vehicle, and fleeing from police.
The Transportation Safety Board issued its final report after a called-off landing at Pearson Airport in October of 2022. Investigators say a maintenance vehicle went onto the runway just as an Air Canada Boeing 737 was set to land. The report found the maintenance vehicle driver was distracted and didn't follow instructions to stay away. And our digital team has the story, including the response from the Greater Toronto Airports Authority at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
The next phase of the federal government's ban on single-use plastics came into effect today.
It bans the sale of checkout bags, cutlery, and straws. But as CTV's Rahim Ladani reports, compliance appears to be an issue.
Take a look inside many restaurants in Toronto and you'll still see something common: plastic.
Either get rid of it all or just keep it, right? I'd prefer to get rid of it because it's better for the environment.
The federal government's ban of sale on single-use plastics across Canada is in effect beginning Wednesday. It applies to checkout bags, cutlery, takeout containers, stir sticks, straws, with the exception of flexible straws for people with disabilities, while the sale of ring carriers will be banned in June 2024.
Restaurant operators have been working on this for the past year, and we've also provided our members with a lot of resources and tools to understand what they were allowed to, not allowed to do, to make it this transition as seamlessly to comply as possible.
However, as compliance appears to vary, it's frustrating people.
If some places like this have plastic and other places like the grocery store don't, where it's more convenient to have it at a grocery store or Walmart, then it just kind of sucks. It's unfortunate because we don't know.
Ottawa classified plastics as a toxic, but last month a federal judge ruled that move to be an overreach, saying there is no evidence all those items are harmful. The ruling does not undo the ban, maintaining the government's effort to achieve zero plastic waste by 2030.
It's a good idea.
Why?
Because we all live on the planet and we all need to take responsibility.
While bringing your bag at the grocery store has become common practice for most, others believe it's created another problem.
It seems that people just keep buying those reusable ones, and they are turning into our new single-use. So like I know tons of people who now have 60, 70 of them at home that they're storing because they never bring them.
The federal government has appealed the court's ruling, reinforcing its belief that plastic is toxic to the environment. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
The Canada Revenue Agency has fired dozens more employees for accessing a federal COVID-19 benefit when they were not eligible recipients. The CRA says 185 employees have lost their jobs to date for inappropriately claiming CERB payments. That's 65 more staff members fired for that reason since the last update in September. The federal revenue minister said wrongdoing cannot and will not be tolerated. The agency launched an internal review back in the spring as it investigated other Canadians accused of inappropriately receiving CERB.
As the war continues in the Middle East, calls for a ceasefire continue to dominate discussions at the United Nations.
The U.S. Secretary of State, meanwhile, reaffirmed steadfast support for Israel and called for worldwide condemnation of Hamas. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
Day 75 of the Israel-Hamas war. And Palestinians in Gaza remain caught in a hellish nightmare, as do Israelis being held captive. With nearly each plume of black smoke, the death toll rises. This man holding a 3-day-old baby, which he says he helped rescue from a collapsed building.
Gaza today is the most dangerous place in the world to be a child.
With pressure mounting from multiple Western nations for a sustained ceasefire, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying whoever thinks that we will stop is detached from reality. We will not stop fighting until all of the goals that we have set are achieved, the elimination of Hamas. Before traveling to Cairo for talks with Egyptian officials, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh met with Iran's foreign minister. Though it's Iran who is backing Houthi militias from Yemen who are attacking Israeli-linked commercial ships in the Red Sea, threatening the further escalation of this conflict. With a U.S.-led Canadian-backed coalition now patrolling Middle East waters, the leader of the Houthis warning today that U.S. warships will be attacked if Washington targets his fighters. The deadly conflict front and center as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken delivered his year-end address.
What is striking to me is that even as, again, we hear many countries urging the end to this conflict, which we would all like to see, I hear virtually no one saying, demanding of Hamas that it stop hiding behind civilians, that it lay down its arms, that it surrender.
For a third consecutive day, a UN Security Council vote calling for a ceasefire was postponed at the request of the United States to allow more time for negotiations on the wording of the draft resolution. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
An Israeli hostage who was freed from Hamas custody in Gaza visited the site where he was first abducted. He said his thoughts are with those who are still being held.
In every moment the hostages are there is danger. They have no time. Why do I get to be here and they don't? They all have to come back home now.
As the families of hostages keep up calls for their release, U.S. President Joe Biden indicated today no new deals are expected anytime soon.
Ukrainian officials say 9 people were hurt in an overnight drone attack on the southern Kherson region. The Interior Minister posted today that Russians attacked the area and hit apartment buildings, schools, and medical facilities. The Biden administration has said Ukraine's military response to Russia's invasion is running out of time and money without more aid from Washington. Republicans say they'll support that aid if Democrats support more drastic action on migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border.
A ruling from Colorado's Supreme Court could see Donald Trump kicked off the state's ballot in 2024 if he's the Republican presidential nominee. U.S. President Joe Biden weighed in.
It's self-evident. You saw it all. Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero.
The Colorado court cited part of the U.S. Constitution barring anyone engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding federal office. Similar cases have been struck down in other states, and Trump's campaign said it will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court.
The Prime Minister of India says his country will look into any evidence provided on its alleged links to an assassination plot in the U.S. Speaking to the Financial Times, Narendra Modi said the allegations will not affect ties between India and the U.S. In November, the U.S. charged an Indian man with conspiring to murder a Sikh separatist leader in New York. Prosecutors allege the man was directed by an Indian government official. The charge came about 2 months after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced Canada was investigating credible allegations linking the Indian government to the murder of a Sikh separatist leader in BC. And that erupting volcano in Iceland continues to spew more lava today. The country's meteorological office says the amount of molten rock coming out is much less than it was when the eruption started on Monday. Officials put up a special barrier to divert the lava away from nearby power plants. We turn to an incredible and unusual mystery involving a nearly 150-year-old dress purchased by a woman in South Dakota.
An unexplainable message was found inside a hidden pocket. It remained unsolved for years. That's until a Canadian researcher was recently able to crack the code. CTV's Scott Lightfoot explains.
This is an 1880s bustle dress that I bought for my historic costume collection about 10 years ago.
It was the dress that caught Sarah Rivers Cofield's eye.
It wasn't like anything else I had, so I kind of couldn't resist it.
But it's what she found inside that would become a case for curious code crackers around the world.
While I was examining the skirt is when I realized by having it upside down, I could see that there was a pocket attached on the inside and there was something in it. And I could tell there was something in it by finding the pocket because you could feel that there was a little lump in there.
That lump turned out to be 2 crumpled up, well-worn pieces of paper.
We got it to a readable point and we're like, but it didn't make any sense. So we start reading like, I guess like Bismarck obit Buck Bank. Like, what does it mean?
Answering that question would take about a decade. Rivers Cofield posted the dress and the papers on her blog about antique clothing, and for years, internet sleuths and codebreakers tried to figure it out. Some people suggested the words appeared to be codes used for telegraph transmission, but even then, they didn't seem to make any sense.
I've looked at about 170 different code books, and none of them matched these code words.
The mystery would be solved by a researcher who works here at the University of Manitoba. Wayne Chan saw the posts on the internet and in his spare time managed to make the connection between the words on the papers and words used for weather codes at the time.
They managed to, by the 1880s, turn a full weather report down to about, 6 or 7 words.
A code of just a few seemingly unconnected and random words contained everything from location to temperature to wind speeds. Vital weather information being sent across the U.S. by telegraph. Chan was further able to deduce the exact day the information was recorded, May 27th, 1888.
I'm just excited that somebody cracked it. And I'm excited that it's just kind of an everyday weather code. This is a much bigger picture about how the telegraph changed everybody's lives, how suddenly everybody is able to know what the weather is going to be, which is something I never thought about before.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
How about that? Coming up, New Year's Eve celebrations in the city. How Toronto will welcome 2024 on the waterfront. We've got a preview for those of you looking to make plans.
And I'm Pat Four, and coming up on Consumer Alert, many people have new tires for the winter driving season. If you have a new set, did you know they could still be years old? A Newmarket family was shocked to find out their brand new tires were actually made 3 years ago. I'll have my reports just ahead.
We have a cloudy start to the day tomorrow, but the sun will come out in the afternoon. We are cooling down, though, so sending the kids off to school, getting yourself ready for work, an extra layer or two, probably a good idea. The good news is, if you like the mild winter weather, it is coming back, but for the first official day of astronomical winter, sunny and cool. I'll have more coming up after the break.
And we're making a delivery. We're not making a delivery. Daryl's making delivery. Daryl is from Remax Crossroads. Daryl, you're here with your family, your lovely wife, and your 3 darling children. Daryl, why did you decide to donate to Toy Mountain?
I think it's extremely important to give back in the community that we live in. It takes very little effort on my part to, run around, collect the toys. So it's our way of making a difference, and also it sets a good example for the kids.
Okay, so last year Daryl arrived a little late. This year he's on time. Last minute for people to donate. Of course, they can text to 30333. Daryl, thank you very much. Thank you to the family. Kids wave to our audience, and we'll be back with more Toy Mountain after this. Of course, you can see right there on your screen how you can donate.
Two-thirds of Ontario drivers now use winter tires, as research shows they offer superior grip and better traction on ice and snow.
Having 2 sets of tires is an added expense, and you might be surprised to know even when you buy brand new tires, they might not be. Pat Foran explains on this Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. During the pandemic, many people didn't drive as often, so they weren't wearing out tires. A Newmarket family was surprised when they recently bought a new set of winter tires that were actually made more than 3 years ago.
It's right on the side of the tire.
John and Carrie Lee Britnell of Newmarket bought new winter tires last month for their Honda Fit. After the tires were put on rims, they were surprised to check the tire manufacturing date code and see they were already 3 years old.
When I went to pick up the tires, I looked them over and noticed that they had a 2020 date stamp on them. They were 3 years stock sitting in their shelves.
There are many markings on the sidewall of a tire with sizing, speed ratings, and other information. But if you want to know when it was manufactured, you'll see 4 numbers in a small oval. The first 2 numbers are the week it was made. The next 2 represent the year. This tire was made in the 21st week of 2018. Britnell's tires were made in the 29th week of 2020.
They said it's not illegal to sell tires that are 3 years old, that they were still new stock. They'd never been on the road.
Most vehicles travel on average 20,000 kilometers a year, so most tires need to be replaced after about 5 years. According to the Ontario Ministry of Transportation on tire age, tires should not be older than 10 years. It's good to know there are manufacturing dates on tires. This one was made last year, but the Tire and Rubber Association says drivers shouldn't be too concerned as long as their new tires have never been used and were stored properly.
Most people drive enough miles every year that their tires will need to be replaced before age becomes an issue.
Mikhail Majernik says the best advice is to register new tires with the manufacturer, so if there is a problem, there will be a record of the date they were purchased.
It may be a concern, but it shouldn't be from an operational standpoint.
The Britnells say their new tires at 3 years old are less valuable if they wanted to sell them. They believe everyone should check date codes on new tires before they're installed.
Ask questions. When were these manufactured? And before they get put on your vehicle or before they get put on your rims.
And for tires older than the year 2000, there's a different code system used, but they shouldn't be on the road anymore. Checking tire dates may be important for those who don't drive very much, or if you have a classic car you plan to keep long term. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, we know that the winter weather is coming eventually. You would think tomorrow, but no.
No, I mean, for those of us who have put on our winter tires, we sure haven't needed them. Although when the snow arrives one day, maybe in 2024, we'll be ready to rock.
Honestly, probably right in time for the New Year's when the snow actually comes. I put mine on at the end of October. I was ready as well, right? But we're holding on to this warm weather right through until the New Year. So if you're a fan of a white Christmas, just watch a movie that's got snow, because we're not getting it here. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. Now, not a brilliantly sunny day, but that kind of helped us out in a little bit to keep us warm. Temperature-wise, we're still sitting around 3 here in the city of Toronto. It feels like 1. Northern Ontario, they're experiencing a lot of that cold. So as we head in towards the overnight, wind direction changes, a northerly flow, and it's going to cool things down pretty significantly. So we are closer to seasonal as we head in towards the first official day of the astronomical winter season. Northern Ontario, very cold. Eastern Ontario, Southern Ontario, we're holding on to just a little bit of that warmth. As we head through the overnight, we'll see a wind chill around -7, which is the normal low for this time of year. So we're not quite there, but in a good way. Different story through Peterborough, Orillia, up towards Bancroft. They're looking at some pretty wicked wind chills as we head through the overnight. Getting into the day tomorrow, we'll see a little more sunshine on the way. A cloudier start, but into the afternoon that clears out. High pressure returns, but a cold front's going to bring our temperatures a little closer to seasonal. So keep that in mind. A layer or two really right across southern Ontario, a good idea. A few lake effect flurries right along the eastern shoreline of Lake Huron, but overall, we've stayed relatively clear of any active weather. There's that cold front that sinks its way down. Behind it, some high pressure and finally a little bit of sunshine, right? It was a relatively cloudy day. That holds on through the overnight and getting into the start of the day tomorrow, a little cloud cover. It makes its way out and a beautiful sunny afternoon ahead of us. Now, getting in towards Friday, we will see some cloud cover start to roll back in. And then we're watching for the chance of maybe a little bit of a mixing as we get in towards kind of the early evening, very brief in nature if it comes to fruition at all. The next wave of active weather is going to be Saturday in the way of some isolated showers, maybe even a little mixing, but unfortunately, I guess if you like the white Christmas, we're not going to quite get that. That's not sticking on the ground. Tomorrow, 0 as we welcome in the official start of winter. For Friday, lots of sunshine on the way, +1. That cloud cover rolls in late in the day. Saturday, there's that chance of isolated showers, but really and truly, we head in towards Christmas, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, well above seasonal, and by Wednesday of next week, we could even get up to 11 degrees. Nathan.
All right, thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Also tonight, keeping the Kenergy flowing from this year's biggest movie. Barbie's other half unveils a Christmas version of his Grammy-nominated song.
This is our helping the Salvation Army to build a mountain of toys. We collected 191 toys today.
We're proud to once again donate $10,000 to our friends at the Salvation Army. But that's not all. At Samco, we're building
Woohoo! Yes, the spirit of the season is alive and well.
Let's keep the giving going. Andrea Case is at the Best Buy in Oshawa, where generosity is on full display tonight. Andrea.
Nathan and Michelle, I will not forget this next young man's name because his name is Nathan. Nathan is here, and Nathan has decided to help us build a mountain of toys. How did you do that, Nathan?
I just created a donation box, put it into my school, and announced it all on assembly.
And how did you do?
I think I did good.
Okay. Dad, how did he do?
Well, thanks to the students and teachers at Sunnybrook School, they collected 209 toys.
Wow.
And a special thanks this year to Lexus on the Park as well, who agreed to match the donations.
Wonderful, and we have a representative from Lexus on the Park here. So we're just going to say, you can say a big wave. Even though, we know we love Ford, but we're very thankful to Lexus Toyota on the Park. Next, we have a family member here. Michelle is Carol Charles's sister-in-law, and you are here from Continental Currency Exchange. And Michelle, what do you have for us this year?
We made sure that we came in with the teens and the tweens gifts. We know how important that is. We don't want them to be forgotten on Christmas Day. So that's what we did, and we're pretty excited about it.
Okay, well, we thank you very much for your donation. And next we have from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the IBEW, we have Julie, Hall, Les, and Howard, and Andrew. Howard is retiring this year, so Julie is going to be the spokesperson next year. So as you go out, my dear, this is your last chance to tell the folks how great the Brotherhood is.
Well, our boundaries are from Perry Sound to Oakville and over to Trenton, and we've donated over $25,000 to all of the shelters, women's shelters, homeless shelters, and food banks around the area, everywhere from Midland, Aurelia, Barrie, Cobourg, Mississauga, the GTA, and so we're very proud of that we give money to these food banks every Christmas just to ensure that everybody has a great Christmas.
Okay, are you ready to hand over the reins?
Maybe. We'll see what she does.
Well, Julie is quite the electrician, I'm told. So, Julie, we're going to let Howard have the glory this year. We look forward to seeing you next year. You can practice your speeches then. Fellas, thank you for coming out.
And 175 toys.
175 toys. He's helping us build a toy
mountain.
One more time, building a toy
mountain.
That's it for now from the Best Buy in North Oshawa. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it, Andrea. Well, it appears the Queen of Christmas reigns again. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You has topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart for the 5th consecutive holiday season. The 1994 tune has now notched 13 total weeks in the #1 position.
After the success of the Barbie movie and its soundtrack, Ryan Gosling's out with a Christmas version of his character's hit song. Gosling first sang the song as Ken in the Barbie movie. It's since been nominated for Best Original Song for a Motion Picture at the Golden Globes. Now this updated Christmas version's out, created with producer Mark Ronson. It's part of a new EP alongside acoustic and dance versions of I'm Just Ken.
And Drake is out with a new music video for one of his latest tracks, and it features a special guest.
You tell me. I'm kind of glad she gone. I'm kind of glad she gone.
Drake acting alongside country singer Morgan Wallen in his scene, setting up the video for You Broke My Heart. The song appeared on the Scary Hours edition of Drake's album For All the Dogs.
Stars Tonight is brought to you by Lastman's Bad Boy, court-approved liquidation sale.
I guess they had a pretty serious reason, because they plowed him right into that tow truck, eh?
Updating our top stories, a dramatic end to a police chase through the streets of Toronto. Investigators say they found a stabbing suspect in a stolen U-Haul and tried to stop him. He then allegedly kidnapped someone at gunpoint before driving off. Police say they pursued for some time before bringing the vehicle to a stop on Carlton near Church. A 49-year-old man's in custody.
The community went from nightly occurrences to 0 occurrences.
As the number of auto thefts in the city continues to skyrocket, some neighborhoods are hiring private security employees to discourage would-be thieves. The local councillor said it would be better if police handled the issue. Ontario police have created a task force for auto theft.
I think we're really recognizing the peril that people are in this winter.
And the City of Toronto says it will open a new 24-hour respite site on the exhibition ground starting tomorrow. Hours will also be extended at municipal drop-in sites. This comes as the city urges Ottawa to pay back the shelter costs of refugee claimants. Advocates say all parties need to do more to house those in need. Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar is trading lower, almost a fifth of a cent, to end the day at 74.81 cents U.S. Oil gained just slightly to a bit above 74 U.S. a barrel, and the TSX declined more than 230 points to end the day at 20,600.
If you have an unused Mastermind Toys gift card, now's the time to spend it. The cash-strapped company's toy and bookstores are set to come under new ownership early in the new year. It's now warning that gift cards will become invalid on December 24th. Mastermind has sold most of its 66 store locations after filing for creditor protection in November. In sports, the Raptors are getting ready to host the Denver Nuggets tonight. Toronto's coming off a win against the Charlotte Hornets at Scotiabank Arena on Monday night. The teams went back and forth in the first half, with the Raptors turning it on in the third, going on to win it 114-99.
Scooped up by Riley, jumping in again. Morgan Riley throws it back. Matthew, the shot scores!
And the Leafs were at home last night hosting the New York Rangers. Austin Matthews tied the game at 1 apiece in the second period, but the Rangers would score a second goal, then 3 more in the third to win the game 5-2. The Buds play the Sabres in Buffalo tomorrow.
Commuters who rely on the Up Express will soon be able to access the transit line later at night. Right now, the final train operates between Union and Pearson just before 11:30 p.m. Service will extend to 1 a.m. as of January 7th. Starting that same weekend, Metrolink says it will make changes to schedules on the Milton, Barrie, and Stouffville lines, while running longer trains on the Kitchener line. Go bus routes will see adjustments as people return to work and in response to demand. And if you're making plans for New Year's Eve, the TTC says service will be free from 7 p.m. on December 31st until 8 a.m. January 1st. During those same hours, riders will also have fare-free access on GO Transit and the Up Express. Officials advise checking departure times in advance.
Just ahead, deck the halls at Union Station. Carolers bring some holiday spirit to the busy holiday rush. The sounds of the season filled the halls of Union Station.
Thanks to a group of Metrolink's employees.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my
The staff gather every year to sing, raise spirits and money for the United Way. The final performance of this year's run took place today in the York Concourse at Union Station.
People are in a rush at Union Station, but we've had people stop. We've had people just kind of sit down, actually, and take us in. I've witnessed people being very emotional, people crying and saying thank you because there's something that we've sung, or maybe we've reminded them of a time in their lives, that they really needed encouragement.
The Metrolink's Caroling Initiative started in 2012.
And we're learning more about the City of Toronto's New Year's Eve plans. At midnight on the 31st, a 10-minute fireworks show synchronized to music will be visible from anywhere with a view of the city's inner harbor and live streamed online. Designated viewing areas include Harbor Square Park, Sugar Beach, HTO Park, and Little Norway Park.
Good.
Let's check in one more time with our Andrea Case. Andrea.
Michelle and Nathan, I am paying attention to you, but this is a busy store. Shout out to Brittany, who is the only person working the cash because everybody else is here. And we have a very exciting check presentation. Ken is back from Best Buy in North Oshawa. Ken, take it away.
Andrea, we wanted to corporately donate an additional $5,000.
Well, let's see that check. Drum roll. There you go. Thank you, Ken. Why is it important that people donate to Toy Mountain?
It's very important. I think, especially through these times, people less fortunate deserves a Merry Christmas, and we're very happy that we can do that for them.
Okay, let's bring Erin back in. Erin, this is not the only check we've received from Best Buy.
That's correct. At our launch, they presented us with a $5,000 check as well. So this is just amazing. The generosity of this team, of the entire Best Buy team, has just been fantastic.
Okay, so we still need people to donate. How are we doing now?
We do. Last night was a great push, so we are over 60% of the way there. But we are in the final couple of days of this campaign. And
what do you need?
We're supporting 60,000 children, and we need support for teens and tweens. Those toys are often not as many of them. So if you can donate those toys to any CTV Toy Mountain location.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks a lot. Hey guys, what are we helping to build here? A toy mountain. One more time, a toy mountain. Okay, everybody at Best Buy, get back to work. Get back to work. We want to thank you all for coming out. We want to thank Terry, who's over there, who's a CTV viewer, who came. Wave to the viewers, Terry. She came just to say hello. Brittany's working the cash, and we want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting our Toy Mountain campaign. A couple days left. Tomorrow we'll be at the Eaton Center, and we look forward to seeing you then. That's it from North Oshawa Best Buy. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Oh,
Great
wonderful.
to see.
Okay,
Take
Jess,
care.
bring us up to speed weather-wise. First day of winter.
It is going to be sunny, cool, but above seasonal. So we're holding on to a lot of the warmth we built up over the past few days. So we welcome in the astronomical winter season with some sunshine. Heading in towards our Friday, still pretty nice. We are staying above seasonal really as we head into Christmas and into the new year. By next week on Wednesday, we could be up to 11 degrees.
Double digits. Wow. Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.